part 2 now. This is part 2 of the boiler system install. Here we're going to be dismantling the cylinder and starting to get that set up and in place. So this video is going to be basically a compilation of how we get this set up, and then I think in part 3 I will do a separate video on the wiring for the S-plan that makes this and this work nicely together and how we get it all powered up. Right, here it is. So we went for the UV gold. It doesn't even say it on it. Great branding there, well done UV. A little bit of damage here, but Nick says that's not an issue because...
Yeah, this is the balancing valve, but we're relocating that onto the system. So this is how it's going to work. From the boiler, we're going to have the flow going in here, and it's going to come up here into the zone valve that's going to do the hot water circuit and to the heating circuit. So, and that will go back into the flow and do the heating on the rest of the system. And then the return will come out here and go back into the return of the boiler there. But also we're putting in the underfloor heating manifold, so that will be incorporated into the system as well.
And that underfloor heating has like 4 or 5 different zones on it as well.
This is where the wiring station is. So obviously the thermostat's wired into that, and both zone valves are wired into that.
Yeah. So,
and we've got a filling loop here to fill up the system. The balancing valve, so they're the drain cocks.
Okay.
So this is the cold inlet.
Yep.
So the cold water goes in, the coil inside heats it up, convects it, and the hot draw comes out here. So, and that will go and feed the rest of the property.
And the balancing valve basically reduces the amount of pressure from the mains water coming in.
So it's got an even balance on your hot and cold throughout the property.
Yeah.
So the cold will come in, the mains cold will come in, it will come out and feed the mains to the rest of the house, and also it will tee off to feed the cylinder. But no doubt we'll show you
that as we go on
when we get to that.
Excellent. Right, so a little update of what Nick has been up to. I've been working on other things at the minute, so Nick has been leading. Well, he doesn't need my help anyway, to be fair, but here we are.
Right, so what I've done so far is we've got the blue poly pipe coming in here. This is the reducer to 22. 22 comes in here. We've got a lever valve there to shut it off. We've got a drain cock if you want to drain down the system. And I've left space there because we're putting in an inline filter. So we're going to pick that up within the week. This is the balancing valve. So it goes off to feed the cylinder. So the cold goes in, convects, comes out hot here. And then we're going to feed that to the rest of the house. And then out of the balancing valve as well, it goes to the hot, and it goes from the into the cold, and then it goes to feed the house as well. So you'll switch the cold off to the house.
Yeah.
You'll be able to switch off the hot to the house, and this is the mains that will shut off.
Both of them at the same time.
Yeah, we're getting there.
And you moved the zone valves.
Directed that way, so I've just turned it this way just to make it easier to go into the flow of the system.
Nice. Very nice. And we'll then be putting the S-plan control panel and all that sort of stuff probably somewhere up here on the wall, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Something like that. So we are just about to get this stripped out. Nick's opened that up. He's attached that hose, and it goes straight out into the outside drain downstairs. Well, it's actually inside, but it's the one down in the utility room. So we're literally just draining out this tank because this has been cold and empty for a while now. But you can see. So this was made of copper, right?
Yeah, it's made of copper, yeah.
Mate, that drains down. We're able to start ripping out some of this, which is really nice to see this go. So to drain this down, this is feeding the cylinder and tank in the downstairs bathroom. So we switched this off a while back, but the way to drain it down is to tip it up and pour it into the cylinder, basically. Disgusting. So what we've done, Nick's down at the bottom, he's just taken the cap off the other end of this pipe. He's got a bag down there, he's filling up the bag. That's basically draining this down. I'm going to keep tipping the thing.
Yeah, please do.
Alright, I literally can't tip any more down there. So, that's good.
Do you know that black carrier bag that I've got?
Yes, mate.
Rubble sack, then I can just tip the last bit of water in.
Good man. God, it's so nice to see that go. So we cut all these big ones, pulled them out. Got a few more that we're cutting here. And we're getting out. Thankfully, this was all temporary pipe work that we did when we did the loft conversion, and we didn't tack anything down or clip any of the cables because we knew we were going to have to pull them out. So, thank goodness for that. Yeah, that was the one that I was saying, it's directly under the steel beam. We ended up building that steel right on top of one of those pipes. So, yay. Right, I should be able to yank that one out now, I reckon. Yeah. So that's now drained, all the pipes are out, got the scrap metal. That's really nice to have that out. We're going to leave this here because it's too big, can't chuck it out the window, doesn't fit. And it's a bit pikey doing that anyway, to be honest. Won't fit down that hole there. But when we cut the loft ceiling out here for the staircase, we're going to have a nice big hole that we can then drop that through. So that's all good. We're done up here. I can now help Nick, we can get these pipes out this way. Right, so that was full of pipes. Well, that was full of toilet paper and pipes. And this is now all getting stripped out. So we can then pull those tails up from the top and get it all pulled out, which would be really nice. Really nice to get rid of that, clear that out. Because this ultimately is going to end up being a shower in here. We're going to move this towel radiator this way. This door frame is going to move to here. I'll show you this way. We're going to have the doorway set on this wall, so I'll build a new frame up like this. That wall there is all going to get completely taken out. I'll probably reuse this pane of glass up here actually. That'll get obviously floated over and flattened out. I'll probably put a light fitting there as well. So we'll have the doorway going across here. This doorway will then go, this wall will go, and that radiator is going to move over to here on the wall. So we can have a nice big two-person shower, sink, bath, toilet. But in the meantime, we get to get rid of all this out here. Nick has a quid pro quo with a mate that's got a van, so Nick gives him the scrap and he delivers whatever Nick needs whenever he needs it. So it's a nice symbiotic relationship there. That's pretty much how it goes, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, you know, give a little, get a little.
Give a little, get a little, exactly. Yep. I was only putting it out on the street for the scrap metal guys anyway. I'm not selling any of it, so works well for everyone. One of the final pieces of the puzzle for, I was going to say for us then, but it's for Nick because I am no plumber. is to get the condensate pipe from that boiler, that white pipe there. So far we've been running it down into that bucket. What we're going to do is we're going to come along and across tight against here and straight into the back up in here, because that gives it somewhere easy for it to escape. That's going to be a step, so I'll be covering that with a little bit of a threshold anyway, so that'll protect that plastic pipe. This pipe here is the kind of temporary mains feed at the moment until we switch over to the lead. This is going to get pulled out and pulled out the way. You can see it just there going onto the lead pipe. We'll be able to, it's not tacked or connected anywhere. When we decommission that, we can literally just pull it out, and then I'll be able to seal up under here. So this just travels through here nice and easily. Got a little bit of tilt on it, a bit of fall there. We're going to come straight in here, nice and easy. Little elbow on that. Bob's your uncle. This only gets chopped down a little bit when we've got the fitting. Job done.
Yeah, that should be cool. Yeah, that's lovely.
That's nice, isn't it? We've got a good bit of fall on that, even at the corner there.
Alright, so at the moment, obviously this is the cold mains coming in. It's going to go through the filter here. I've just got the unions for. Then it's going to go to the hot water cylinder, and it's going to come out, and it's going to go and feed the house. So I'm teeing off here to go into the boiler for the downstairs toilet and the utility, and then this end is going to connect on to feed the rest of the house. Nice. So and then the cylinder, the hot coming out of the cylinder is going to go back to
Sorry, where's that coming out of?
It's down here at the moment. We've got a check valve, so it's just going to be coming along and then going back into the rest of the system.
Very nice.
So yeah, we're getting there.
We are.
Hopefully once we put the manifold in, then I can obviously put the manifold here, then I can sort out the pipe work to feed the manifold and to feed the cylinder.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
So that's the scale inhibitor for the cylinder. So once that's gone on, Nick's going to be filling up the cylinder, so it's very exciting. While he's doing this, I'm over here sorting out the underfloor heating pipes, getting all of that ready, routed out. That'll be in another video coming up shortly. So yeah, momentous occasion. Nick has literally just headed off for the day, and we are, things are really taking shape now, which is nice. He's just finished putting all of this in, getting it all in place. So the tank is now full. That is completely full of water, which is good. So I think if I was to do that, yep, you can see there's water coming out of that. So that's now full, but we haven't kind of livened it up. That's cold water at the minute. We're just doing it to pressure test and check. So you can see he's turned that off here, so there's nothing coming down it. because there's also no hot return or anything like that just yet. There will be, but we're just pressure testing everything. This is starting to look really nice now. This is still here as a temporary. That's there as a temporary feed. Once we've connected it up at the water mains, which will be on a different video, we'll post a link to that here. Then that, because these two things are running in tandem, once we have switched it over and it's fully on the mains, we can get rid of this. This is just a temporary little stopgap. So we have everything in here neatly lagged. I'm going to be putting some insulation on this, on these, the weekend. In fact, actually, a lot of this stuff here is going to be covered by insulation, but we're going to lag it just in case. You can see here he's kept them off. It's quite clever because he ran out of the any other bracing stuff, so he just used some old flex. It's quite smart, I think. Thinking round corners. So that's good. Starting to come together really nicely now.
One time we were putting in a solar cylinder for somebody, and the apprentice melted the side of the the side of the cylinder.
Oh mate!
It just
that's not cool.
You know, it's just like, it just looks, when someone's doing it, it just looks so easy and it's under control.
Yeah. They forget you've got 25 years of experience doing it.
So, but it's like, you know, sometimes it just means it's very unforgiving as far as doing the flow into the underfloor heating system and then into the cylinder. Then we're going to be going into the heat here. This is the zone valve, and then going back into the actual central heating system for upstairs and the radiators. Then it's going to come in here, it's going to go in the coil in the cylinder and then return back to the return here. This is the bypass that I'm doing at the moment. So I just need to put in a drain cock here so that we can drain down the system if there is any issues. And then this is the return. So we've got the return coming back from the underfloor heating into the boiler, and the return from the heating system, and the return from the cylinder. And then it's all going through the magnetic filter just to stop any dirt getting back into the system. So that's really where we are at the moment. So I'm just going to put in the drain cock and then turn it all back on and make sure that there's...
And what's that one there with the little kind of crystal maze type thing in the back?
This here?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the ton dish for the pressure relief from the cylinder and from the balancing valve.
I see.
So they'll both be terminating into there and then going outside.
Going outside, got it.
So yeah.
So what's the last one that you got to put on? Is that the drain cock?
Yeah, just the drain cock for the return.
Nice.
Just so that we can drain down the system.
Yeah.
And put a hose on it and get it to go outside
out,
if there is any issues in future for maintenance.
Nice.
Great stuff.
So we are just switching over from the boiler to the cylinder. So Nick has switched off. The reason that stopped just now is because he has switched off the pipe that comes from the boiler, and it's just started up again because it's coming from the cylinder. And look how much the pressure has changed on that. It'll probably sputter. And look at the colour. You see all the green in there. And it's hot as well. Very nice.
I've got the cylinder working.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to stick to the boiler for the time being.
Fine.
Because we haven't got any
Controls
on the temperature of it.
Agreed.
So I'm just putting in the pressure relief valve now.
Yeah.
So, because obviously I've been testing it, just to make sure it doesn't, if it gets too hot in there, because we're testing the underfloor heating and the rest of the heating in the house.
Yeah.
Instead of just pouring all over the floor, it would go outside.
Sure.
So yeah, this is just to make sure that it's tested, water tested.
Yeah.
And then we can start, you know,
wiring up the S plan.
Yeah, that's it. And then just make sure that it's doing what it needs to do when we want it to do it.
Very nice.
So
very nice indeed.
Right, so at the minute, so the flow's coming out here, Tom.
Yep.
It's coming here and it's teeing off to go into the underfloor heating circuit.
Yep.
And it's coming along here and it goes into here, which if you open it manually,
yes,
we're doing for the time being, then the heat's going to come out and go and do the radiators.
Fine.
From the boiler, it's coming into here, and if you open it manually,
yep,
it's going to send the heat into the cylinder, then it's going to come back out and go back into the boiler and just do the circuit like that.
Fine.
As the mains comes in, we've got a drain off here for the main services to the property. We've got a drain off here for the cylinder circuit inside there. We need to drain that down. If we need to change the immersion element, we'll isolate everything and drain it down that way. Then we've got the drain off here for the heating system. So if we need to replace a radiator, we can drain it off there. And also if we isolate the underfloor heating here, we can drain it off from these points here. Yeah, at least there's enough drain offs in case there's any maintenance that needs to get done.
Nice.
Or even when.
Perfect.